Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Koi Plays Tarot. My name is Koi, and yes, I'm normally your tarot card reader, but for today, we're doing the Learn With Me series, where we sit down and try to learn what some of these cards mean, and out of all 78, each individual has a story. So, quick reminders. The first is that please hit the like, comment, and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell as well. That way, when things get uploaded, you can see what the stars are trying to say to you. Also, just know individual reads are back open. So if you are interested in getting a one-on-one with me, just message directly, links in main, and either message or email, and we'll get that set up, okay? What are we looking at in this round of Learn With Me? So the last one was the fours, the ideas of holding patterns, and during the Fool's Journey, the situations and the people, I'll kind of categorize them as both, that the Fool met was the Chariot or the Chariot driver and the Lovers, each respective sign to a zodiac sign of the Chariot being the Cancer and the Lovers being the card of Gemini. Putting those together, the Fool learned essentially that beyond the holding patterns and the things that people try to learn from or try to decide where they stand in relationship to it, what do these things mean in motion, right? That's, I guess, the biggest point of those cards is that the Lovers is a choice. At the end of the day, you have to choose that once you pursue life together with somebody else, or you pursue something that you're really passionate about, other things fall to the wayside. And with Chariot, full speed ahead, right? No looking back. We can still carry different things in our cart, but it's primarily our driving force and intentionality of how we steer it. Now we get to the fives, Strength, the card of Leo, and the Hermit, the card of Virgo. Ooh boy. If anyone knows about the reputation of the fives, then you know what's going to come up next, because the fives are cards of conflict. So we're going to start as per usual with the minor arcana on the bottom, then the major arcana at the top, do some position shifting, then talk about what everything means in the end. Starting with the fives. These are referred to consistently as cards of conflict, because in order to solve a problem, you must establish that it exists. It comes in different forms. Again, water, earth, fire, and air, each element respective going across. You have the Five of Cups, Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands, and Five of Swords. Let's start. So going off the base theme, because I think it'll explain everything. First, we have the Five of Cups. Water being your elements of emotionality, the way we express ourselves, how we want to move forward with a process in our world. The Five of Cups is always represented with two cups standing up, upright, they haven't spilled over, three cups knocked over, right? Now, if we remember the Ace, 2, 3, and 4 of this element, it was, okay, I'm fulfilled, you're fulfilled, we're fulfilled, this is too much, okay, I can't deal with it, right? The Five of Cups, it's sorrow and sadness in its purest form, right? It isn't the stinging sadness of like the Three of Swords, which is like the initial moment of heartbreak, right? But it's more so of just more of an existential pain that you're left to sit with, and the only one who can get through it is you, right? So that's why it's always represented by two cups up and three cups down. The glass is half empty or half full, but we're more likely to look at things being empty, right? Just because the amount of pain and reflection that causes, that reaction within. So that's the Five of Cups. Five of Pentacles is almost always depicted by an elder and a youth. In this case, somebody who's partway injured and the other person who's barefoot, trapped outside of a building in the middle of a storm. There's the traditional depiction of it. And the Five of Pentacles represents being left out, being left behind, or just the notion of overall impoverishment and desperation, right? It goes hand in hand, right? When we feel like we're left out, we either don't have the amount of information or we're clearly not invited or wanted here, then we're stuck with the sense of, wow, I really just got abandoned by this person or this thing. Or the other interpretation of that is materialistically, life has left me behind, right? The Five of Pentacles, especially in a career read, kind of means we're broke, but more so than being broke, we see options as very limited or few. Like, what can we do at this point? Next, the Five of Wands. If that was the element of earth, we're now moving on to fire. And it's almost always depicted by a bunch of people either taking up wands as weapons of offense or just already in a fight with each other, right? The Five of Wands, if we have the fire of the human spirit, intentionality, a goal, and execution, trying to maintain that, Five is where we brawl, right? The Five of Wands represents in combative energy that is held between multiple parties, right? We got beef and we're not getting through it the way that we're trying to solve it right now. You know, we're like sneak dissing or not really saying what's really being said. So let's lay it all out there. If you don't like me, you don't like me. And that's okay. But now we have a conflict. It's directly confrontational. It is not it's not pleasant in the sense that because there is such a thing as healthy competition, in which case that would be one of the very few scenarios in which the Five of Wands would mean things in context. But oftentimes, again, it is two oppositional positions just butting heads over something, right? Two or more, by the way. Lastly, the Five of Swords. Interesting because this is depicted by what I would assume to be ninjas, but carrying a total of 5 swords and not knowing what to do with all of them. Here, it seems as though 2 of them are leaving their weapons behind and 1 person is picking it all up. What are we doing this for? Right? What is the actual purpose here? Whereas the Five of Wands was external conflict, the Five of Swords is the war within, right? My internal self-doubt, my internal mechanisms of, I don't know if I'm good enough, I don't know if I can do this, am I doing the right thing? And that's not, there's a difference between the ponderance over a decision versus the ponderance over the self, right? The ponderance over decision or having to learn more about a problem, that's 2 of Swords, right? That's just confusion, the need to meditate over it. We'll eventually find that out. The Five of Swords is, well, who am I, right? We're left with the aftermath of saying, when push comes to shove, what am I left to do? Right, so that's a lot of mental gymnastics we're doing. So, with the fives being laid out, let's go to the major arcana. First, we will start with strength, the card of Leo. So, as the Fool upon his journey moves forward, he eventually encountered first the Chariot after the Lovers, which was a basically a horse driver in a carriage, and he was amazed at how fast he moved. But again, that driver, the chariot driver, did not really have time to speak because he was already in motion, right? That represents the action in motion. We take everything in stride. Here, he encountered a woman taming a lion, right? Strength is almost always represented by a woman or feminine figure as the lion tamer, and a lion or some kind of predatory animal as the beast, i.e. the beast and the beast master. What's interesting about that is that individually they are strong on their own, they're also better together, right? With strength, could the lion probably maul the lion tamer? Absolutely. Yeah, that is absolutely acknowledged in their dynamic. Could the lion tamer with enough experience defend themselves from the lion? If that were the case, absolutely. That's mutually acknowledged in the dynamic. However, when there's mutual respect involved, then what are we left to do there, right? So strength here examines the internal fortitude of what somebody brings to the table, but also the ability to acknowledge, hey, I'm good here and I'm good with all of you, right? Sometimes it takes humbleness, right? The idea that I could say that, we're gonna let that thing slide. Sometimes it takes, we are in a state of, disarray and I gotta get my things together, right? Let me remember who I am. And so that acknowledgement of that relationship, originally contentious between that lion, the beast and the beastmaster, now gets revealed to be very beneficial as long as there's respect involved. Does that make sense? So we have first that strength, and it's an interesting conversation, especially as this is the representative card of Leo. how this can come out, particularly in the context of leadership in the life of a party, right? If the vibe's good, it's all about the good vibes, then the best of us can come out as well. So eventually, after talking to this Beastmaster, they move over to the Hermit, kind of coincidentally, because the Hermit is isolated and was also surprised to meet this fool as well. And even more surprised to hear that somebody wants to hear what they have to say, right? The Hermit is a card of Virgo and is almost always depicted by a monk or an ascetic, isolated, locked away in their chambers, and oftentimes reading some type of scripture, scroll, or book. Here it is a monk, I would assume, in the mountains by themselves with a lantern. The lantern representing the light of ingenuity and knowledge pursuit, right? And being able to basically read under all circumstances. That's why they carry the lantern with them. When it comes to the Hermit, it says that wisdom is found within, right? I've heard this before. I saw it before. I just need to find the right book. And so it's trusting that you had the tools at your disposal to heal, to work your magic, to do whatever is necessary to get from point A to point B. You already have it in your toolkit, right? You just got to go find it. The Hermit is the remembrance of the capabilities within, not necessarily its execution, but remembering like, oh yeah, I think I had a teacher who taught me that a long time ago. I think my mom showed me how to do that, right? The recalling of the self, the recalling of that memory allows the Hermit to work in his best form, which is the answers are there. I don't remember them just yet, but I can find them, right? And it's interesting conversing with the Fool in that way, because to have somebody so invested, where most people see the Hermit as boring or wow, you take too long, you're just a bookworm. Having somebody so naively optimistic about the world encountering them now allows for the Hermit to reaffirm their cause, right? Reaffirm, oh, there are genuinely people who don't know what I know. I just don't realize what I know until I reflect on it. So, being that that is a card representative of Virgo, the Hermit allows, just as the capability of many other people born under Virgo, for people to either find comfort in decision making, or, and this is a big, stereotype, but it is true, many Virgos are prone to being in the psychiatric field, psychiatry, psychology, things like that. The recollection of the human mind in some way, shape, or form, right? They find healing. They find the tools within, which is oftentimes incorporated into psychotherapy, right? This is the sign most prone to being a therapist. And with good reason, because when we have a relationship with ourselves, we can have a better relationship to the world around us. So let's flip these. Which is interesting because, as opposed to most of the cards, when the fives flip upside down, they're almost always considered good things, but we'll get into why in a second. And flip the major arcana upside down. Now, going from this direction again, the Five of Cups. Whereas the upright, 2 cups up, 3 cups down, and the reverse, yeah, same amount of cups up and down, but it's not so bad after all, right? I think it was a song by Dido, It's Not So Bad After All. We still have a recollection of pain with the scenario. Is it the best? Absolutely not. Is it something that we like to constantly reiterate? Equally no, but I'm okay now. I can do better. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay, right? That doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect, but I understand why it has to be that way. The Five of Cups in the reverse, the glass is half full. It is what it is. And at this point, I can sit here and cry about it, or I can accept my feelings about it and also try to understand the situation for how and what it is. The Five of Pentacles in reverse. Whereas it was once impoverishment or being left behind, it went from poverty to prosperity. They found their refuge. They're no longer locked out of a building, or locked out of safety, or locked out of opportunity. Things are looking up. And so the Five of Pentacles in the reverse Whereas ones that only saw the very little of what they have, they now see the possibility in the things around them again, because possibility has been presented to them. The Five of Wands in reverse, whereas it was originally beef and conflict between multiple parties, we learned to lay down our weapons. Okay, can we solve this through conversation? Is this something that is workable? Is this doable, right? The Five of Wands in the reverse, yeah, we let bygones be bygones. It doesn't mean that, I have total and absolute trust with you as of yet, but it also means we're not swinging on each other immediately, right? We reach a different form of resolution. And the Five of Swords in the reverse, whereas this was the war within, taking things out of myself, the Five of Swords, I accept me for who I am, right? I'm not taking this out of myself anymore. I'm not blaming myself for how things went. And it's oftentimes incorporated with that Five of Cups, to be totally honest, although the emotional connect is not necessarily there. It's more of the analytics of this, no matter how I look at it, I can be left in the notion of sadness with it. I can be left in the notion of, self-destructive behavior, or I can just also lay my own swords down and say, yeah, I'm done too. Right? So that's like the individual decision that almost leads up to that Five of Wands in the reverse. It all starts with me. And what I'm saying is that I don't have to participate. And that's okay for me. Let's go back up to the Major Arcana. Strength in reverse, card Leo. Whereas it was a respectful dynamic, here you have two beings at each other's throats, and it's getting nasty, right? That strength in the reverse ultimately represents that when the communication with the relational dynamic, when it broke apart, we became kind of our worst selves, right? Because there was nothing to harbor from within, right? And that is fair enough. It's par for the course, because again, that was predicated upon the strength or the bonding pattern of that relationship. Here, strength in reverse being, oh no, this can't be done. Why are we even trying? Why are we here? Why are we here? Right? The notion that this is unsolvable, undoable, and I don't even want to touch it. Which is, again, going back to the sign of Leo, also par for the course of, hey, I accept that we're both fixed in our ways. I'm not budging, you're not budging, we're good. You gave me everything that I needed to see. We tried to work on it, and now we're all worse for wear, right? There is no good or peaceful resolution here. Here, we can no longer find the strength internally of any form of compromise. We're just two animals in a different form at each other's throat. Hermit in reverse. Whereas there was once the person full of wisdom, now we just have a bookworm who can't tell, A from B, right? All the isolation, all of the trying to do the research and whatnot, it proved to be worthless or worth nothing, or the ramblings of a madman. In which case, the Hermit in reverse means I went back, tried to look through everything, and I don't have any answers at all, right? And it is possible to have, although it takes a long time to come to that conclusion. But at that point, once we come to that conclusion and still look, that went from research to a choice, right? We went from trying to fix things to the stubbornness of staying here in the belief that it might change when we already have been proven evidentially that it might not, right? And that's also kind of flip side of why this is assigned to the Virgo sign, because again, when comfortability is shaken in such a core and fundamental way, I will choose comfort, right? Even if the comfort is being loud and wrong. And that is, again, I've never tried to comfort any signs. You know this if you are a frequent visitor to the videos in the channel, but that is how it is laid out in the deck. So it's just somebody who we know better, we can do better, we're actively choosing not to do that, right? All in all, these represent problems with a choice and problems with a relational dynamic, oftentimes coming up to problems within the self, right? So all the cards, let me turn them back up, right? I love turning them sideways. Problems will exist, right? There's a purpose, the core reason of the fives. Problems always exist. Our choices of what we do with them thereafter, or how we handle it, and how we decipher the meaning of it, that's left up to us, right? We can see opportunity, we can see pain, but all in all, it's still there. And that's what the message has to be left with. So, just as a recap today, readers, we have the Five of Cups, Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands, and Five of Swords. All the minor fives, representative of the idea that there is some type of conflict and needs resolution. We also examine the Beast and the Beastmaster relationship with strength, and the Hermit's knowledge with the Hermit. The Fool has a long journey ahead of him, but encountering people who directly challenge either a conflict external or a conflict within means that, hey, it isn't just always the happy-go-lucky things in the world. It's the idea that we can grow from conflict given the right tools. And that's ultimately what the purpose of these cards are. While they do get a terrible rap because of the amount of, chaos it does reveal as in a dynamic, it also gives an opportunity for growth, which in better circumstances present the best version of what each card can represent. So that's what I got for you in your read today. Well, not read, but lesson for the Learn With Me series. We had the fives and the minors, and strength and the Hermit and the majors. I hope that as we move forward, we're going to see exactly point by point what every one of those 78 cards, let's see what the cards say. That's what I got for you today, card players. I hope that these lessons serve you well as you use them in tarot card readings, and tell me how it goes in the comments, okay? See you around. Take care.